The protagonist, Lee Hoyol, stared at his reflection and saw a different person. When he asked his name, the response was Granfell Cloudy Arpaeus Romeo, the successor of a great clan. While drinking tea, Hoyol realized he had become the character he made 12 years ago in a game called History of the Arcana Continent. This game was legendary and integrated into the real world when its services were terminated and the CEO went missing. The game spread worldwide, and people assimilated with their in-game characters, becoming players with the ability to use game skills and defeat monsters. Hoyol fantasized about becoming a player, but knew the reality was that he would never be famous. The cost of buying a Logan machine was millions of won, and renting was expensive too. He remembered his father's apologies for not providing what he wanted, and his mother took the blame. Hoyol realized he had no choice but to quit the game. Regretting his decision, Hoyol's stats suffered because he hadn't played for a year. He awakened his powers but didn't expect to use the character he created 10 years ago. Granfell Cloudy Arpaeus. Romeo, a character Hoyol invested heavily in, was a successor of a great family massacred by a demon. Granfell became a demon hunter for revenge. Hoyol disliked assimilating with his character at his current age. He worried about functioning properly with others and the consequences of speaking with his superiors. Curious about his feelings during assimilation, Hoyol found his experience different from others. He recalled memories from 10 years ago, but not much else. Hoyol searched for information related to demon hunters but found only 2 pages of results. He discovered that Akshan, the town for demon hunters, had been destroyed. Realizing the role of demon hunters had been deleted, Hoyol wasn't surprised, as they had been inactive 10 years ago. The demon hunter class had low stats, weak skills, and an awkward build path. While considered useless and pointless, they excelled against demons. News of increasing demon activity and player casualties due to strong debuffs surprised Hoyol. He wondered if he was the only demon hunter left after Akshan's fall. Contemplating taking charge despite a 10-year setback, he heard his old self reminding him that his character didn't run from demons. Hoyol realized he no longer needed to hesitate. He vowed to ensure demons returned to hell. Years passed after the cataclysm, and despite the destruction, people adapted to the new world. However, their negative emotions became food for the devil. Nam Cheolmin, a player, waited for Hoyol. After their meeting and introductions, Hoyol witnessed the rupture for the first time. Normal people were unaffected. A notification appeared about the Knoll's underground storage, suitable for players of levels 35 to 40, with 19.8% destruction progress. Hoyol checked the average level of players entering the rupture and found it to be 200, an unimaginable level for him. Nevertheless, he was grateful that not only high-level players had awakened. Han Seongwook, Seo Jongyeon, and Choi Jong-hoon introduced themselves as part of the party. Cheolmin explained that another party had likely entered already, given the progression rate. He instructed everyone to prepare and enter the rupture in 5 minutes. When the progression rate reached 100%, the rupture would break, releasing monsters into the real world. Players were currently allowed to freely raid ruptures and approach them. As they prepared to enter, everyone had something to say. Hoyol tried to contribute but ended up embarrassing himself by speaking like a king. Upon arriving at the scene, they wondered why they didn't see any gnolls around. Cheolmin informed them that a previous party had defeated the monsters, but assured them they could still claim their share. Observing the others and the surroundings, Hoyol sensed something was amiss. Upon seeing the gnolls, Cheolmin charged at them. Observing their lineup, Hoyol noticed their strategy was ordinary, but the tanker aggravated the monsters instead of protecting the party. Their playstyle intrigued Hoyol, making him wonder if this was how players strategized nowadays. Currently, Hoyol's problem was lacking useful weapons and aiming to minimize combat. Hoyol warned everyone of an ambush from behind, and Seongwook and Jong-hoon defended against the gnolls' attacks. Surrounded, Cheolmin left the party to fend off the monsters themselves. Jong-hoon was distracted and almost died, but was saved by Hoyol's arrow. Hoyol urged Zhongyun to remain calm despite her fear, instructing her to cast a strong spell while the others defended her. Zhongyun unleashed the skill Fire Arrow, engulfing and defeating the gnolls. As the place filled with fire, Hoyol doubted if he could retrieve the expensive arrow he had used. Zhonghun was furious and lashed out at Chiolmin for not helping them. Chiolmin's laughter only fueled Zhonghun's rage. A notification informed Hoyol that his natural enemy skill had activated, rapidly increasing his battle power when fighting a demon. Hoyol immediately deduced Chiolmin's true identity and accused him of being a demon. Everyone couldn't believe that Chiolmin was a demon, but when Seongwook turned to look at him, fear immediately consumed him. A notification displayed an abnormal status. The demon used fear against them and laughed as they trembled. Chiolmin was interrupted when Hoyol attacked him but managed to block it. The demon reminded Hoyol that killing the demon would also kill Chiolmin. Throughout their fight, Hoyol's battle power continued to increase due to his skill. Hoyol's attack displayed increased power, almost piercing through the armor. The demon, using Chiolmin's body, launched relentless attacks but was easily countered by Hoyol, slashing at its face. The demon couldn't believe that it was harmed by a mere human. A flashback of Chiolmin's past revealed how his younger brother had warned him about dangerous ruptures and asked him to join his guild as an analyst. Chiolmin was constantly belittled and compared to his younger brother. His desires awakened the demon Imp, which easily possessed him due to his weak mentality. Helplessly, he watched as the demon betrayed the others while fighting his inner fear. With a single slash from Hoyol, he noticed Chiolmin's pride, which he gladly embraced and defeated Chiolmin's body. Chiolmin woke up without injuries and vividly remembered being possessed. He recalled being stabbed, and Hoyol explained that a human's negative emotions empower demons, advising them not to fear demons but to be proud. A demon hunter's attacks only affect the demon within. Despite not playing the game for a long time, Hoyol still remembered this logic. He was disappointed, though, as the demon had no item drops. After the incident, an article was published detailing what had happened, but others still dismissed it as false information. Chiolmin informed his younger brother about the incident and asked him to recruit Hoyol into the guild. His younger brother, despite his title, hesitated to recruit someone based solely on a post. However, when Chiolmin confessed that he was the possessed party leader, Nam Taemin, ranked 11th in player rankings with a level of 368, was taken aback by the news. Taemin was curious about what had made Chiolmin change his mind and now wished to become an analyst for their guild. After the demon incident, Chiolmin realized his true role and had had enough of trying to keep up with Taemin. Now he wishes to pursue his own path. With this sudden change, Taemin was curious about the person who had influenced Chiolmin's perspective. No matter how hard Taemin thought about it, he wasn't sure which class Hoyol belonged to, as he was unaffected by the abnormal status and managed to defeat a demon with just a dagger. Thinking that Taemin didn't believe him, Chiolmin wanted to provide more information but was interrupted when Taemin assured him that he had always believed him, as he was also a witness. Taemin had always been grateful to his brother, because it was thanks to him that Taemin became who he is today. Chiolmin was also thankful because his brother appreciated his efforts. When Chiolmin opened the contract offered to him by his brother, he couldn't believe the contract conditions. At home, Hoyol was surprised and happy because he had leveled up by 12 after defeating the imp. Thinking that he could finally rest after what had happened, Granfell noticed that the room was a mess and immediately started cleaning, which drained Hoyol mentally. Mentally exhausted, Hoyol remembered that Granfell followed a regular schedule and practiced self-restraint, and as a result, Hoyol's body had become healthier. Granfell's talents were not limited to one area. He was talented in magic and could imitate spells just by seeing them once. Granfell was also intelligent and very fit. Hoyol wanted to test out a theory, but suddenly received a message from Chiolmin. Hoyol didn't bother to read the contents and immediately rejected Chiolmin's offer. Hoyol began studying all forms of magic he could find through internet searches. After receiving the rejection from Hoyol, Chiolmin assumed that Hoyol might have received an offer from another guild, which infuriated Taemin. The number one guild, Gaeon, offered Hoyol an amazing deal that would benefit him more. Taemin was enraged, thinking that someone had given a better offer than him and was curious about which guild had made the offer. Cheolmin thought of several guilds, including foreign ones. Taemin couldn't wait and wanted to meet Hoyol, planning to bring him into their guild before any other guild could. He asked for a description of Hoyol's appearance before leaving. Cheolmin pondered, and could only describe Hoyol as a very elegant aristocrat from a fancy novel. Meanwhile, Hoyol was watching videos of magic and could see the fundamentals of magic in the videos. Hoyol was overjoyed to find that his theory was correct and that he could use magic if he had mana. After distributing all of his stat points, Hoyol finally rested. When he woke up, he received a notification for a class quest. When Arcana became a reality, quests became rare because there weren't many NPCs in real life to give quests. Hoyol immediately began investigating what he could search for in a class quest. He then stumbled upon an article about the first-ranked paladin beginning their class quest. A class quest is given to one person among those with the same class. Receiving one would immediately make big news. Hoyol thought hard and knew that it was impossible for him to receive a class quest unless he was the only demon hunter left. Hoyol reminisced about his years at Akshan. They had to climb to the top to reach the admission ceremony. The quests were pointless repetitions of hard work, and their facilities were awful, including NPCs who would yell at him. When Hoyol checked what kind of quest he had received, he had a disappointed look after learning more. At the Anti-Arcana United Korean branch, while waiting for any new Rupture updates for the week, the workers accused the game's CEO, Raymond, of managing the page and providing updates. In the middle of their conversation, they received a new Rupture update. The update caused chaos, and they immediately asked everyone to unplug their phones to avoid receiving calls from reporters. The new Rupture contained a new demon, new monsters, and a new named monster, Count Ascura, who was level 430. The AAU was unsure if the current players could deal with the new update, since even the first-ranked player was only level 403. They thought of asking for assistance from the Mage's Tower, but the NPCs in the tower would only move if the tower itself was in danger. Losing hope, the AAU could only pray for a miracle to save them. Hoyol felt sad, knowing that nothing had changed since his time at Akshan. The quest he had received involved training his weakened body. His body was so overworked that even drinking coffee was difficult as he kept shaking. Hoyol was still happy. He would have given up halfway if it weren't for Granfel's pride. He slept soundly and was excited for the next quest, but was only met with further disappointment since the quest to train his weakened body was a repeated quest. After completing the quest for a week, Hoyol finally received a reward, which was an addition of stat points for his stamina and dexterity. He couldn't believe that by training his body, he gained stats. Gaining stats was difficult and would cost someone millions of won. Hoyol's rage turned into happiness, knowing that he could get a good reward by exercising every day. While resting, he heard news on the nearby radio about the new Rupture. He kept watching news about the new Rupture. Everyone expressed their refusal to participate in the raid as the risk was too high. Count Ascura was a monster that Hoyol had never thought of fighting, but now his new quest informed him to hunt a vampire. Unfortunately for Hoyol, the only vampire there was Count Ascura. Hoyol felt fear, but because of Granfell, his fear turned into a mission to defeat the Count. Can Hoyol really defeat Count Ascura? Find out next time.